Hi, welcome back to our tutorial series where we take an Astro theme and set it up for editing in CloudCannon. We're using this Big Spring Light Astro theme, so go check that out if you haven't already. In previous episodes, we set up basic blog editing in our WYSIWYG editor. We then some refactoring of collections and some small tidy ups. And then the main part of that video was being able to add components throughout your Markdown body content, which we refer to as snippets in CloudCannon. Part of that work was setting up Bookshop, because Bookshop handles the import of those components into each content page so that if they are used on that page, there's something imported and they'll work. And that replaced the auto import that was being used. Bookshop not only does that importing for you in Astro, but its main job is actually component building system. It also tells CloudCannon which front matter field relates to which piece of HTML on the page. So these are front matter that's templated into our HTML layout, and then the result is this page you see here. If we change this and saved and rebuild, you would see this update. And we kind of want to get to the point where you don't have to save and rebuild. You can preview your changes live. So Bookshop will handle that all for us once we've set it up. Let's get going. We'll start by refactoring this index page to use Bookshop, and then we can extend that concept out through the rest of the site. So the first thing I'm going to do is make sure Bookshop is updated. So in the root of our repository, I'm going to run this command @bookshop/up @latest, and you can see it's just updating one version. That's cool. We can look at the guide, which we again looked at in the last episode because we had to set some of these things up. But just a quick recap, we created this Bookshop folder with a config file inside it, a components directory that lives at source/components. This part of the config file, we installed our packages, we integrated it into the Astro config file, not the Bookshop one. Then the next page that's important is this configuring live editing one. It's got a whole lot of packages for us to install again. We didn't worry about the browser because we won't be using that. We put this command in our post build, which then generates all the information that Bookshop needs to run. And yes, some more examples in here. I'd encourage you to come read this if this is your first time setting this up or using Bookshop. This is the next important page, page building. So we can see we need to create this shared page helper. So I'm going to go back to our local code to do this. Cool, that's just the npm install done. So I want to create a folder at source/shared and then create page.astro, is it? One more folder in between, shared/astro, and then page.astro. And I will copy the contents of this, paste it in. We'll worry about this later. And then, we need a new layout because I'm not really sure what these layouts are affecting, and I don't want to screw anything else up at this point. So page.astro, we can use this. Actually, I am going to refer to our Astro starter. So we have a starter on our templates page, which is a good source of boilerplate, I guess, and example code. So for this, we're going to see what their layout looks like for their page, and it looks like something we want, and we'll just have to change this to base. Oh, and I'll get rid of anything that we're not using on here, like that. So we just want the front matter to be title and content blocks array, and it's important that these props come through this front matter key. That's good. We've got the layout in place. Now we just need to use it on the page. So index.astro, we don't want it to use the base layout anymore. We want it to use that newly created layout. So I'll call base page layout. And then this can just be imported from page. And then this needs front matter, which is homepage.data. So we're passing that layout. We just created the props under a key of front matter. Now we actually need some content blocks in our front matter, which is an empty array, not for long. And then since we updated our front matter, we need to update our schema. So we can just put this at the top. Content blocks is a z.array with anything inside it. z.any. Cool. I think that should still run if my npm run dev. And I'll quickly exit out of the starter because I know I'm going to get confused with that later. Let's open the local host. Nothing's on our page because we've changed our layout. All that's on the page at the moment is the page helper, but say this page is wrapping this inner content. Where does this inner content go in relation to this? I'll have it underneath, so I'll use that slot that Astro uses, and we can see the rest of our contents come back. Then our content blocks will be up above our original content, so if we add something to that, let's add an example one. I'll enter this manually, which is what CloudCannon would normally do. Bookshop name, let's create a sample component with text. This is just sample from front matter. And then in components, let's create a sample folder, sample.astro and sample.bookshop.yaml. I think I've exited out of this starter a bit early. I need some more stuff. A bookshop config file, just anyone will do, and I'll refactor it to be less in it. Perfect. So that's good enough for me for now, because we are just doing an example. And then all Astro components start like this. Well, 3 dashes. I'm going to get the props, which are just text. Cool. And then it's going to be an H1 text in it. Cool. So we can see that's working. Samples from front matter. And at this point, I'm just going to check that the live editing is working on that sample component before I spend a lot of time refactoring. So add bookshop and sample component. You see I pushed the Git repo, so that is rebuilding. Once it's finished building, we'll go to content blocks. See, this is updating live. Perfect. Let's move on. So if we go back to our code, to the index page, go to its layout, I'm going to create a new banner component. Just use sample to be the boilerplate. This could be called banner, banner.astro, and banner. Make sure to rename it in here. And then if we go to the actual code for this, I'll just copy, paste all of that in the HTML part. And then I can see I want title, content, button, and image. Just the top level of the front matter. And then I'll get rid of all these banner dots. And same with these ones. I need to import Markdownify, I can see, which is this. Sweet. Oh, and then the image. Perfect. That looks good to me. And then I just need the actual front matter that it's using already. And then I can put this on here. So this will be a banner and it will have this front matter. It's nice that it's already done for us. So if I save that, go back to our site, we should see 2 of those. Yeah. And then our sample telling us where we're up to. So I will get rid of this hard-coded banner stuff and move on. After banner, got features. Cool. So that's all of the components done, and we've taken their front matter, put them into the components. Front matter, I can get rid of the sample now. Yeah, so the front matter is refactored into components. The component code itself is also now refactored into components. You can also get rid of this in here, it looks like. And yeah, don't need CT8. We use the bookshop equivalent of that component. So what I sort of remembered as I was going, we haven't done is we need to set up a special recipe for the images that are using responsive images in this. And we also need to fill in all the config, because I've kind of just left this blank at the moment to just go quickly and get everything kind of working. But if we didn't update those and we came to add a new call to action to the page, it wouldn't work, because it wouldn't add what it expects, which is title, content, image, and button. It will just add blank. So we'll update these files, sort out the blueprint and the metadata, and do any input config we need to. But I'll do that all at once to save time. So let's just see our page still works. Yep. Cool. Let's push what we've got. So refactor homepage, bookshop components. First things first, let's go back to those wherever we had image. Oh, and I'm going to refer to the Astro starter again. This part. Does this one have an image? Yes. So we need this little recipe where we import all the images from our assets folder, and then we can provide this new image source where, if for whatever reason the image source that we give in the front matter is not available on all the images with an export of default, then we'll just use the string. So yeah, if this side is nullish, we will fall back to whatever the string was. This is important for the visual editor. So let's add those to everywhere we need and make sure the address is correct. I think it's just image this. So yep, and then make sure to use the image source. And I'm going to copy that for the next one. Also just called image. Cool. Features doesn't have an image. This one's slightly different. So there's not just one image on this. So we need it in here. Images.map. Yeah, this can become a return. We need a place to put some stuff. All of that return go on here. And then in here we can go to image source. Actually, let's grab this. Let's use this. We need first image. It's the fallback. Equals this. The service. First image. First image. Yeah, this, but with first image. Use that as the source. Perfect. Still working. See out of what we got already. Is there any other ones we need to do? We've done services. What about workflow? Yes. Let's get all the images, find the image source. Images at image. Get the default export of that if it's there, otherwise just use image. That looks good, just need to use it. And that's all of the images sorted. So let's push those up and let's just check what it looks like in CloudCannon. Add image recipe, should we have seen? Okay, so we're finished building, and you can see all of our front matter is just turned into content blocks. So I guess all the same information is contained there, although they now have a bookshop name for what component they relate to. Yeah, let us solve your critical website development challenges, ASDF. So it's still working. We can still change an image probably if we want it. Nice. Check that the order of these works. So yeah, you can drag them around. I'll just delete all of this. Testing. You can see the editing experience has some stuff to be desired, like now the icons are configured. This random text things hanging around from the sample. So let's make our way through one by one and do some input config on this. Let's go. Banner. Start with banner. And we need the index page open as well. Grab what's already there at banner. And this can become our new blueprint. So deleting what wasn't here was just text. So that should get rid of this thing that doesn't do anything. I want these to start blank. If someone was to add a new one to the page, they can have an image, or else it's going to look a bit strange without it. Yeah, button can stay there. It's pretty generic. Banner, we need an icon for this. I'm just going to go to material icon, search it. It was stricthanger.cloudfen.net. Is there anything for banner? Sure, we'll choose this. In it, there's going to be text. and image. You can kind of put whatever you want here, and a button. Whatever's going to be helpful for you and your editors to keep track of what each component is. And then lastly but not least, we can go to what it looks like. So title doesn't look big enough. So I'll change that. Type text area. Content, that can also be just a text area, remembering that it's not getting markdownified, is it? Oh, it is. So this accepts markdown. I guess I can test that with this content. Let's try and make one of them bold. Didn't like that. Yeah. Okay. Didn't love that. Thinks it's a YAML alias because we need to do this. Yeah, it accepts markdown. CloudCannon would enter this if you selected bold here. In which case, we can make this content type markdown and go to our docs. I'll go type markdown. Yes, so configuring your rich text editors, and I just want very basic. This goes under options for markdown input. I just want very basic formatting. I don't want them to be able to put images or snippets or anything through there. What else could we have? Sorry, rich text editor reference. You can have a link in there as well, but I don't think we want to allow editors too much. So I'll leave the rest of that. I might as well leave that open. But if we go back to content, now markdown image looks good. Button could use some work. So new input button type is just an object, and options, we want to do the preview, just an icon of smart button. Should we go smart? Get those back. And then in button, label and link actually look great. So that's our first one there. And let's push that up and see what that looks like. Figure banner inputs. What did I do on this page? Oh yeah, I just tested. We can get rid of that test change. So go see what that looks like in app. So the page that is built, you can see banners looking a little bit nicer than the rest of them. Those tags we talked about, the icon, this is now a text area. This is a markdown input, which works great. Image already looks good. Button now has an icon, which looks nice. So I will whip through and do the rest of them. So have a look at what it looks like at the end. Cool, so this one's a bit different to the last one in that we have an array in there and title can be blank. Let's go to the actual thing like we did before. Title looks okay. Features though, icon definitely needs some work, so does content. And if this was empty, we wouldn't know what to add. So features, type array, and then under its options, we want to give it a structures and then say that it uses structures dot feature. Let's call it. This could go structures. We could define this again. Any place we can do input config, we can do structures config. And we want to do the feature structure, which has values of an array of different values. So the value of this one is going to be, what does it do? We need the index page to know that. Name, icon, content. So let's copy one of these. So when we add this new structure, what does it look like? It's got an empty name, empty icon, and empty content. And to define the input config on those inputs, the same level as value. So inputs look like name was all right. That'll be good. Icon though needs to be a file input, I think. Type file, and then these open anywhere consistently. Images, just the same places we normally want. So we don't even need to do the paths. Yeah, this goes to public images. So does this. If this was going to images icons or something. We could set that on the input itself, but we don't need to. Content needs to be another markdown file, and I'm wondering if it's best to do it globally rather than redoing it for every component that has a content key. I think I am going to do it globally, and then if it causes trouble, we'll scope it back to individual components. So if we go to the CloudCannon config and go to the inputs here, some stuff we did in a previous video. I'm going to put content, it's type markdown options. Oh, it's italic. It's nice that it let us know. I think that's actually it for now. Keep going. And actually, we can do some preview config on here as well. Icon can be the same as it's the whole component. Services is an array. So we need title to be typed exterior, and content's already going to be affected by the global one. Images, we can use that array syntax that isn't a structure. Remembering a structure is more if this was not just a string, it was an object or something more complex. I think for this one, we can just go images, type array, and then images star is type image. Content's good. We just need button. And actually, again, there's going to be buttons all throughout. I just want to do this. Actually, both these. Both these can just be global. Title button. Rather than just redoing that everywhere, title can just be too big of a box in some areas. It's better than it being too small. So your button's defined now. Nice. So service is done. Remember to do the metadata, workflow. Does this have workflow work? We'll use a briefcase. And whatever it is, workflow on the page. Big image and title. Title. So workflow needs title image description. Yeah, let's go to the app, see what that looks like in the app. Title, image, I mean, that one actually looks right already. And then call to action. I already know tags button. Icon could be smart button. And then, yeah, let's go to this front matter. Nice. What do we want it to start with? Empty title, empty content, image is good, a basic button. If we go to the app, I imagine most of this will be good because that will be good. The global content that we did, same smart button. I think that's actually everything. Figure, component editing. We can get rid of these now, so they've all been turned into content blocks. Cool. So if we go back to the app, we can see it looks much more interesting now. Still can drag things around. Content just looks a lot better. Let's pick a random component. Yeah, content's worked even on one that we definitely didn't do it on. So ready to get started. If we do have styling for it out of the box, it will work. Otherwise, you might need to add some of your own styling. It will output the markdown required for a link onto the page. In fact, let's just test that. Yeah, look, oh, nice. I tried to go to a link. Okay, let's just get rid of that rubbish testing that we just did. Might leave it there for that video. We'll do the rest of the site in another video and go through creating new pages, which can use those components that we just created. Thanks for listening. I hope you learned something. If you did, give us a subscribe or like the video, or even better, a comment, and I will see you in the next video.